Hi there, I'm Simon Canton, and this is my review of Black Sails Season 2. This review will probably contain quite a few spoilers because I don't know how I can avoid it in reviewing the season. So if you don't want the spoilers, I'll give a quick summary, which is this season was just too much talking and no action. And I kind of downgraded my review of the TV show on IMDb because of it. And as a season, probably around 1.5 stars, maybe. If I was very generous, I might give it two, but probably 1.5. Anyway, so I'll continue with spoilers. So from now on, there'll be spoilers. So, Black Sails, I watched. It came on HBO Nordic last year in 2014. And I watched it and I very much enjoyed it because it was just a very silly show, but like it's pirates shooting each other and fighting and people dying left, right, and center, and people betraying each other and all that kind of stuff. And then, so I was looking forward to season 2 starting. Season 2 started just before season 3 of Vikings, and they're kind of remotely similar shows, I guess. At least the first season of Black Sails was kind of similar to Vikings in a way. You know, there's a lot of violence and fighting and backstabbing and stuff like that. But anyway, season 2 of Black Sails was nothing like season 1. So season 1, there's lots of battles and both of wits and of politics and, you know, intricacies and all kinds of stuff going on. And season 2 was the debate version of Black Sails, where people sat in a room and talked about the same things in circles for 9 episodes, probably. And they kept doing cliffhangers. Every episode was a cliffhanger from maybe the third episode in onwards. There was a great battle in the first episode where there's this new character called Ned, I think, who's great. He's played by an Irish actor. My brother was actually saying he knows. My brother's a playwright, so he knows a few actors. I guess is that name dropping? Ned something, I think. Anyway, he was phenomenal. He was so good. Ned Lowe, played by Tig Murphy. So threatening, so good. And then they kill him off for no reason. So this was also the season of the show being terrified of killing Flint or Vane when they were the least interesting characters ever. And the reason was they kept betraying the characters in order to keep them alive. Like at the very end, in episode 10 of the second season, or episode 9 really, he decides to do it. Vane has been trying to kill Flint since the start of season 1. And then the governor of Charleston is going to kill him anyway. And he says, no, he can't do that because then that will ruin the reputation of pirates, which is the dumbest freaking reason. The character of Vane wouldn't give two hoots about the reputation of pirates, except if it was about the reputation of him as a captain. So I could certainly see him saying, hey, listen, how about we let them hang Flint, or we go in and kill Flint, and then we completely destroy their town to show them that you don't mess with, you can mess with Captain Flint, but you can't mess with Charles Vane. That I could see. There was other parts where Vane and Flint were in the tavern upstairs. They're fighting at the end of an episode. It's like he leaps out of the dark to get him with a sword. And then the start of the next episode, they exchange like 2 blows and then go, let's sit down and talk about it. What are you doing? The episode before that, they'd ended it with Flint saying, like, they're attacking the fortress, the fort in the town, and Flint went, fire! And then the next episode, they show a few cannon firing and something happening off in the distance somewhere. just this show could not have lost me more in this season. They just misstep after misstep after misstep. And the things I hate most are when characters aren't true to what the character's been set up to do. Vane and Flint hate each other. They want to kill each other. They would not be best buds at the end of the season. It didn't make any sense at all. It didn't make any sense that they weren't killing each other 20 times before. It didn't make sense that Ned didn't get the better of either Flint or Vane. It didn't make sense. Just everything didn't make sense around those two characters. The soul-saving grace of the whole thing, as usual, since it would have been Ned Lowe if he was still alive, but since he's not, is Max and Bonnie and Jack Rackham. The show should be about them. Like, if they'd have killed Flint and Vane in the second episode, and then it had been about Rackham and Bonnie and Max trying to hold their stuff together whilst the whole place was falling apart, perfect. I would have been totally into that, because their characters haven't been betrayed yet. Rackham is like a smarmy guy who will do anything to stay alive. Bonnie is a really tough woman who, I loved the romance triangle between them because it was so true to the characters. It kept honest to the characters. And I mean, they even said in the last episode that they went in a big battle on the beach. I couldn't give a hoot about what Vane and Flint were up to. I wanted to watch what Rackham and Bonnie were up to. That was the interesting thing. And I don't know, even I know more about pirates. This is perhaps untrue, but I'm pretty sure there were female pirates and that they were hanged. Like, in the 10th episode, they say Eleanor Guthrie is on her way to London, but they won't hang her because she's a woman. What? That's not true. I forget what the names are. I was reading about these two female captains of pirates back then, who they were captured, and the only reason they weren't hanged was because they were pregnant, not because they were women, because there was plenty of women pirates. They weren't hanged because they were pregnant, and it was not right to hang a pregnant woman. So these are women who are pirates. It's not in the real world. I guess Black Sails is not the real world, but it's trying to ape the real world, I thought. So, yeah, I mean, it just seems like a show where they wrote episode 1 not knowing where episode 2 was going to go, and then wrote episode 2 not knowing where episode 3 was going to go. It's an unfair contrast, maybe, but if you contrast it with Game of Thrones, as I say, which is the best show on TV, so it's maybe a bit unfair. But there's stuff in season 4, and if you go back to season 1, you look at it and go, oh, that's setting that up. They knew where they were going in season 1 in order to show something in season 4. They knew what they were doing, or at least they managed to write it in such a way that it made sense. What they did in season 1 then made sense and paid off. Now, we'll see if that changes when I've heard they're going away from the books a bit. It may be the fact that George R. R. Martin knew what he was doing. So, Black Sails was an incredibly disappointing season. The last episode was by far the best one, other than the initial battle with Ned Lowe, because I just liked the battle with Ned Lowe. I thought that was great. And Ned Lowe as a character. But, I mean, if you took out the bits with Ned Lowe and the bits with Rackham and Bonnie and Max, you'd end up with a 2-episode-long show, if even that, maybe an hour-long show. And that was all I really cared about. Oh, my God, I almost forgot to mention the flashbacks. Oh, my God. So my wife is far more forgiving of TV than I am, but the flashbacks are even getting on her nerves. Just endless flashbacks. We're going to do something interesting. No, we're going to flash back to London where they're doing something very boring. They're going to sit around in a room and discuss something, and they're not going to discuss something interesting. They're going to discuss something that they discussed in the last episode and decided, just in case you've forgotten it, because they want to discuss it again. Come on. This is meant to be a silly like Michael Bay is one of the producers. I mean, it seems like I believe he's one of the producers. I mean, I'm just checking. Maybe I'm wrong. Neil Marshall directed. I thought he was. No, maybe. Yeah, series produced by Michael Bay, executive producer. So, I'm not a big fan of Transformers and stuff like that. But the one thing Michael Bay does is explosions and fights. That's what he's known for. Everyone knows Michael Bay is the guy with explosions. So to have an entire season where there's nothing happens, that's just the antithesis of a Michael Bay production. Yeah. Anyway, so overall the season was very disappointing. And as I said at the start, like 1.5 stars, and those 1.5 stars are for Toby Stephens and Jessica Parker Kennedy and Clara Padgett and Tig Murphy. Those 4 actors. Otherwise, I guess what's his name from Treasure Island? He's not even on the top of the list. Okay. Hang on a second. John Silver. I guess it was kind of fun when he was doing the stomping his foot thing. But like, I would lose that if it meant the Rackham story. I mean, as well, they're such blowhards, the leads of this show. Not the actors, obviously. The characters. Like Flint making no sense because he wants to legitimize one anyway. Anyway, I'm just going to go on and on and on about how bad the show is if I keep going. So 1.5 stars, but that's for certain characters. And if those bits were edited down into a single episode that made sense, it would have been like a 5-star, 1-hour TV special kind of thing. But dragged out over 10 hours, it really couldn't keep me going. So yeah, that's my review of Black Sails. As to season 3, I reckon I'm going to give it 1 episode. And if they sit around talking, that's it. I'm done with the show for good. I barely hung on until the end of this season. So season 3 will be a push. And when I've done it before, when I've hung on for another season, like with Walking Dead, for instance, it hasn't paid off. Usually when a show is falling apart, it's fallen apart. And it's gone for good. Yep, so thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.